Deebo's best friend on Instagram. Deebo has some family, I think normally lives with him. This guy is One Barrage. He, during Deebo's initial trade request 2 years ago when he was getting his contract, he was actually the one that put up the video of Deebo in the club. If you remember where that was
Oh
coming
yeah.
from. So lots of
Hmm.
Instagram tactics with this guy. Well, he posted um right here. I don't have it saved to the computer because it literally just happened, but it's a picture of Deebo in a private jet saying dog gone or sorry, dog done got traded. He happy as hell with a laughing face.
Okay.
So Deebo's not actually traded as of right now, officially, according to everything that we know. Now, Jordan Schultz, NFL insider, reported yesterday that he thought a trade was going to be happening soon. John Lynch was out asked about Deebo and his trade request and said, Deebo means so much to him and to the organization. They love Deebo. It's going to be really hard to let someone that they love go like that, but that they're going to fulfill his request and give him a fresh start. Uh, Kind of hard to say, oh, it's all love and we're best friends. And it's like, okay, well, why did he request to leave? Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I thought so. I think maybe any minute now. I don't know if this guy is trolling 49ers, reporters, or if maybe Deebo is on a private jet to go sign a contract and the news will get announced soon. But it is Deebo Samuel in a sweatsuit on a private jet, and the guy says that he's already been traded. So,
Okay. Okay. Well,
oh,
Papa J, Niner Gang. Hi guys.
hi guys.
Matthew Berry of NBC Sports is saying that it'll happen within a couple of days, if not sooner. So a lot of people are expecting this to go down. And apparently, Washington is the team that's in the lead, and they've offered a fifth round pick. At least in this case, I looked it up. Washington has the ninth pick in the fifth round. And so that would be 147 overall. So it's almost a fourth. And that could fit into what the Niners are hoping that that's the best they can get. So 147 overall for Deebo wouldn't surprise me at all. The problem with that is that then the Niners, if they trade him, you have to take the full cap hit, $31 million in dead cap. Bang. And so that really limits what they can do in free agency. Even if they sign Brock for like 14, they would only have $15 million left in the cap to spend inside, outside everything. And so their cap
Well, because
situation
it's
would
not
become
post June 1st.
dire. So that's a problem.
And if they cut him, they would do it post June 1st and they would save some of that money, right?
A little, but not a lot. They would still take the cap hit. It's just that it could be broken up into multiple years if they do it that way. So it wouldn't be as bad this year. But it might be that ownership in their austerity program of wanting the Niners to save money and spend less, this is a way they can do it. Is that Deebo is due to receive a roster bonus of $15 million on March 22nd. They don't want to spend that money, especially if Deebo is not going to play for them. So I think that's the deadline. If Deebo is dealt, it's before then, and it sounds like it's going to happen very soon. And so, from the ownership perspective, they save $15 million. They don't care about the cap hit. They like that the cap hit reduces what Lynch and Shanahan can spend.
That is extremely frustrating that they
Yeah.
just extended him. I think it was in September of last offseason.
Yep.
So not even a year ago. And now they're going to take a huge cap hit. Like, I guess it's better just to get him the way they're thinking. He's a malcontent. He wants to be off the team. He's made that clear. Now he's posting on social media about it. God, what an I hate to bring it to this, but an intention whore. It's like the news has been that Brandon Ayuk, there's some people calling for him, and 2 hours goes by, and so him and his friends are already making social media posts trying to get the attention back on Deebo. Just slightly frustrating. I think maybe there's some addition by subtraction that will go on within this offense, getting
Yeah.
Kyle to be more creative and not using Deebo as a clutch, or as a crutch, not using Deebo just because you're trying to, make him happy because if he doesn't get a certain amount of targets, he's going to be talking about it on his podcast. So I can see some positives. If they could get a 4th round pick, from Washington, as you said, that would
Yeah, well,
be,
it better than nothing. You know, a very
better than
early
nothing.
fifth rounder.
Better than
It's
getting him.
technically it's not a fourth, but it's a very early fifth. So that's probably the best they could hope for, and you just move on. But I agree with you that addition by subtraction would definitely be going on because even when the team succeeds, but Debo doesn't, he whines. And then when the team fails, but he succeeds, he's jumping up and down. So it's just, dude, you're only about you. Goodbye. And I think the Niners need to cleanse themselves of that diva poison and just say, okay, that's enough. Move on.
Big Mig kind of asked about this, and I felt like you clarified. The 49ers, either way, cutting or trading him, were going to eat a large sum of money in dead cap hit for Deebo Samuel. This way, at least they get, some draft capital in return versus just cutting him. But they were kind of in a lose-lose situation after that extension. Niner Gang says, should have been traded last year. I think he should have been traded before the initial contract extension. But yeah, I think the way that they structured his deal in September kind of screwed them if they wanted to move off of him no matter what. So
Yeah. Yeah. And based on what the ownership wants to see happen, which is reduced cash outlays and a reduced overall roster, this is something they want. This is something they've authored more than anything else.
now, surprisingly, because the deal was done even more recently than Deebo Samuel's deal, another wide receiver that is on the trading block, Ian Rappaport. I put, that it was going to be breaking news. Ian Rappaport confirmed that the 49ers are open to trading both, not only Deebo Samuel, who obviously requested a trade, but also Brandon Ayuk, who was just given a brand new contract only a couple, only this last offseason, obviously wasn't able to be on the field after his injury. I think he was never going to live up to the deal that they gave him just based on this system and how many targets he was given.
Right.
I wasn't making a comment on his ability, but more just opportunity. But now
Yeah.
I think there's the question of not only opportunity in the system, but also ability because he's coming back from such a major injury. But ironically, when we talk about how horrible the contracts are and how much money the 49ers have to eat in order to move off of these guys, Brandon Ayuk's deal, they only have a additional $8 million in a dead cap hit that they would have to eat
Yeah.
in 2025 to then get off of like $100,000 in the future if they were able to have a team trade for him, which is kind of crazy when it comes to, all these deals. It feels like a win for the 49ers. It's weird that his contract was set up that way.
Yeah. Well,
So
the contract was structured so that he received a lot of upfront cash. He got a huge upfront cash payment last year,
20 something, right?
and
Right
he's
away
due another one this year. And
in
so,
April, right?
yeah. So we'll see if that's what happens or goes down. But I think it's possible that Ayuk is also traded. And as you point out, it's 7.2 million cap hit if they trade him. So I think that they still have enough cap room even after Deebo to do that. But it means that they don't do anything in free agency.
Now, it's the way that this would work. Oh, is Debo Samuel officially traded?
Yeah, they
Um,
said that in the chat. Bobby has that Deebo to Washington for a fifth round pick. And so which one is it? Is it 147? Do they indicate?
Adam Schefter just reported less than 10 minutes ago on X or Twitter. Uh, the first 2025 offseason NFL trade, San Francisco 49ers have agreed to send standout wide receiver Deebo Samuel to the Washington Commanders in exchange for a fifth round pick, the one you were just talking about. Sources tell ESPN. Like any trade agreed to now, it cannot be processed until the new league year begins Wednesday, March 12th. So we'll get back to Ayuk in a minute, but I mean, Deebo Samuel is no longer a 49er. There's been so much offseason trade requests going on. This is not Deebo Samuel's first trade request, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I was a little numb to it actually happening feels a little surprising. I'm like, oh wow, I'm
It
getting
it
used
is
to
it
this
it's
sport, but
weird now that Deebo is a
really,
former Niner. That's hard
um,
to wrap your head around, but
yeah.
that's the reality, and they got the best pick they could. The ninth pick of the fifth round is a good pick. You weren't
Now,
going to get any better than a fifth rounder, so at least it's a high one. So okay, good.
the only thing that I will say, because once again, I talked about addition with subtraction by
Yeah.
subtraction when it comes to Deebo Samuel, and I do generally feel that way. And this is coming from someone Deebo Samuel was my favorite player for a long time, and I
Oh,
feel like I held on to optimism that he would be not maybe not, if not reach his peak, be closer to his peak for quite some time before finally realizing that he had a lot of wear and tear on his tires. I think that year really aged him, and he's never going to get back up to that 2021 Deebo self.
yeah.
And it took me a while to kind of come to grips with that because, like I said, I thought of Deebo in such high regard. Um, the Washington aspect of it is interesting to me because I think of Adam Peters, who obviously
Right.
worked with the 49ers. Um, when I was at training camp for a day last off season, I saw Adam Peters and Debo talking. I know other beat reporters have said that they were close. Adam Peters now works with the Washington Commanders, and the only, I guess, red flag I would say is my thought and how I've thought maybe the 49ers feel is like Debo's no longer motivated. He's not going to be in shape. He's not going to, we're never going to see that peak Debo again. But Adam Peters is kind of calling, he's betting on Debo. Like by trading for Debo, he's
Well,
kind of saying, I think that Debo can be good again. And it's more the 49ers can't motivate him. They can't get the best out of him, but I'm going to give up assets to go get him. So
mm,
who do you think is gonna be right in that? Is Debo,
I
never gonna
think
be
it'll be a
Debo?
mix. It
Okay.
usually falls in between the two. And keep in mind that Peters isn't just betting on Debo, he's betting on Cliff Kingsbury and he's betting on Jaden Daniels. So he's thinking that having this offense with Debo, with that level of a quarterback, Debo will elevate. And we'll see. No, I think that Debo will be inconsistent. He'll have some games where he'll do well for Washington and other games where he'll disappear. I think that's the reasonable expectation.
I mean, we've seen Debo take over games and when
Yeah.
he's motivated, when he's healthy, when he's in shape. I mean, that Philadelphia game, even going back to the year before that, the Bears game, like there are standout games. The Cowboys game in the playoffs. There are games where Debo calls his shot. He feels like he shows up and he's ready to play and he
Yeah.
can really go to war for a team and put the team on his back and he will like if you lose it is with Debo going down swinging type of thing. We've seen Chris McCaffrey behave similarly as well. Um we just saw less and less of that Debo, and I don't know if it was because Debo wasn't inspired, or a lot of me thought that Debo just didn't have that ability in him anymore. We saw him in multiple games. He was getting, tackled and immediately pushed back and stopped, where before he was breaking 4 or 5 tacklers, running an extra 10, 20 yards, and we just didn't see that, not even just last season, but the last couple seasons.
Yeah.
Um, I'm shocked he's not a 49er anymore, which is hilarious because this, in the stream, before I knew it was official, we were talking about him getting traded.
Yeah. Breaking
But
news. Here we are.
yeah, I'm
But
glad
yeah,
we're
with
all
Debo, it's you look at 2021 and say that part of the reason that Debo fell after that is because he was used so extensively. I mean, it's think of the physical toll of being a wide back and how Debo was expected to be just a wide receiver and he's suddenly deployed as a running back and used in that way. It takes a lot out of you physically. And he had the extra motivation of it being a contract year. And we've seen with Debo that he's very valued in his mind, that he's motivated by the money. And so when you have that contract year, you get peak Debo. After he signed a deal, you don't get peak Debo. And I think that's part of it. Plus the physical breakdown is just that 2021 took a lot out of him. And
yeah.
and then you don't get to the Super Bowl. That's hard. And I think that that's part of the problem. Deebo gave us the best that he had to try to get us to the Super Bowl in that year. And if not for the Jaquaski Tart drop, in my opinion, they would have gone and would have won because they had beat Cincinnati earlier that year. But here we are. And so now Deebo goes to Washington. I think he'll have some moments, but I don't think he'll have consistency.
Oh, wow. So do you think how funny that Brandon Ayuk was on podcast trying to go to Washington, talking about how good Jaden Daniels was going to be. Then Jaden Daniels has, best rookie quarterback performance we've seen in quite some time, if not ever. And because Mahomes wasn't actually a true rookie when he first played. Uh, and now Deebo Samuel gets to go be with him. Ayuk is somewhere like, these guys don't like me. They didn't want to extend me. They dragged it out. They give me the contract. They actually finally commit. Then the entire year that I'm supposed to be here and feel wanted, all they talk about is how much they regret signing me. Now it's offseason. They're talking about trading me again. And the guy I need to go play with, my friend gets to go play with. It's fucked up.
Yeah, yeah. If I'm Ayuk, I look at that and just shake my head of that should have been me. And that's probably going to be running through his head. And it's part of the reason also why I think you do need to move on from Ayuk is his head really here? Yeah, I don't know about that. So if you want somebody that's motivated, that's not about himself, if you want to set a new team culture, part of the way you fix the culture is the player exits. And in this case, Debo and Ayuk would help the culture if they left.
Yeah. Wow. Really, really quickly, it said on Ian Rappaport. I'm sorry for I didn't mean to be tuning you out, but says Deebo Samuel to the Washington Commanders for draft compensation. Debo's due 21.7 million. Now heads to the Commanders. Will they be eating his that salary? No, right?
Yeah, no, they will. Yeah, they will eat the salary, but we eat the dead cap. You got to split the two apart. So the
Okay.
contract goes to Washington, but the cap hit stays here.
Damn, I'm so Adam Peters, I don't know if he should. To me, Debo is not worth 21 million
No, but
at
that's what he's
all.
banking on is that one of the things Washington really needs is a physical wide receiver and a number two receiver. Debo can be that. Peters has
This
seen him
year
do it, and so he
was
trusts him to do it. Plus, you've got Jaden Daniels. You need to give him more targets. So part of this is Adam Peters saying, I would rather go get Debo than draft a receiver in this draft. That tells you partially what Peters thinks the receivers in the draft because he's making this move.
yeah, that's true. Like to me, I don't know. I maybe if the thing that sucks is I think that Adam Peters is wrong and that Debo is not going to live up to the 21 million. But if he's right, then that to me is a huge, detriment on the 49ers for not being able to keep Debo motivated or in shape or use him correctly. Because I do not think Debo is worth that. And I'm surprised that not only they gave and Kyle Posey from uh
Niners
49er
Nation.
Nation said that a fifth round pick means that the 49ers helped Debo pack and made sure he was on time for his flight, which I think is kind of funny. And Papa
Good
J
stuff
said
from Kyle.
only eating 30 million. That has more to do with the guaranteed money versus his year-to-year contract. Is that why
Yeah,
the
well,
40?
Papa, what you have to do is separate the contract and the cap hit. Washington takes the contract, we take the cap hit. So Washington will take on what he's owed, the 21 million, and the Niners will take a $31 million dead cap hit right now.
The thing that sucks is that is this going to, and we'll get into John Lynch's comments on needing to get cheaper in a second from obviously talked at the combine, but is paying 31 in dead cap hit going to affect the like Drew Dahlman, the 49ers
Yes,
spending, all that? That sucks.
all of that. Like I said earlier, every outside free agent gone. Because now, after they sign Purdy to an extension, they've only got $15 million left to spend, period, on everybody, inside, outside. So you've got Kittle's extension. You've got what are we going to do with Jalen Moore? You've got a few other people that they're going to have to deal with. What happens with Dre Greenlaw? If you trade Ayuk, you still need to have 7.2 million in cap space. So, let's say that they trade Ayuk as well. Now their available cap room is down to $8 million. So yeah, Drew Dahlman. Yeah, as you know, I never thought Drew Dahlman was going to
Yeah, you
happen
never,
anyway.
but
But this also means that everybody they were pursuing in those rumors gone. Zach Bond,
we'll
but then
give it up.
Philadelphia has made Bond their top priority signing in free agency. So I don't think they were going to get Bond anyway. But
All
ruling
their
out ending that it's Drew Dahlman is no longer possible is a tough thing to face. But that's where they're at.
yeah.
Your starting center next year, Matt Hennessy.
Tom, this
Sorry,
is
guys.
making me so mad. Like they're spending money. This to me should have been like an all-in type year if you're not, because like they didn't move on from Kyle and John Lynch. And what I was thinking is they were like, okay, we're gonna give you one more year. You have to make the playoffs. You have to show that you deserve it. And now they're get like I can already see the excuses starting next year. Like, well, we had to save on money. We were the highest cash spending team. We had to take a pullback for a year. It's like, and we had to pay all these guys to not be on our team. To answer Papa J's question really quickly, this is what I've gathered from what Tom has said a couple times. They were going to pay 30 million no matter what if they released Deebo. So if they traded him, they were going to pay 30 million and get a 5th round pick. If they cut him, it might not have been exactly 30, but it would have been still a ton of money to move off of him, even post June 1st.
Yeah, yeah. The only difference in cutting him is that the cap hit would have been broken up into 2 different years. Now the cap hit is 1 year right
They're
now.
going to take it all in 2025. Another thing that they might be open to taking in 2025 is basically $8 million cap hit to move off of Brandon Ayuk.